everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Melanin SRNA. I am back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the steps that you'll need to take in order to apply to SRNA school, give you some resources, all of the nitty gritties. If you are interested, then please keep on watching. So I know applying is pretty much like a simple process. You can pretty much look it up and find information online. I figured I would make this video to kind of give you some tips, some resources, some advice. The first step to applying to CRNA school is figuring out what school that you would like to go to. Like I've mentioned in a previous video, and I will insert it in the cards above, I was able to obtain a spreadsheet that was made by someone, I'm not sure who, of all of the CRNA schools that are here in the United States. It lists all the requirements that are needed, the class size, the tuition, if you need to take organic chem or not, if they require the GRE or not, if it's a master's program or a DMB program. Yes, they still have master's programs. I think all of them have to convert by 2021 or 22. So there are quite a very few number of master programs that are still out there. Definitely double check whatever information you see on there, but it does give you just a general information that you'll need to figure out what school would be best for you. So if you're interested, then definitely DM me on Instagram, email me. So basically use that spreadsheet as a guide to basically narrow down what schools you want to apply to. Of course, not every state has CRNA schools. You may actually have to move out of the state in order to go to whatever school that you get into. So just definitely consider those options. For me personally, my home state is Georgia, so I only had 2 schools to choose from. However, I wasn't going to apply to either because I already knew we were going to be moving eventually. So what I did was I just narrowed down the schools in the area I was moving to and basically had those schools, the schools that I was going to apply to. So just kind of give you an example, I chose 5 schools. I recommend 3 to 5 schools. You might have to apply to even more. Schools that were on my list were Virginia Commonwealth, Old Dominion, Georgetown, Albany in New York, and the University of Maryland. Those were the 5 schools I knew for sure I wanted to apply to. Use that spreadsheet to compile a list of all the requirements. Some schools do require different things. Some may require the GRE, some may not. So definitely kind of write it down, have it on your vision board, somewhere where you can basically know what school of your choosing required, and of course their deadline, because you definitely don't want to miss their deadline at all. Pretty much every school requires you to write some type of personal statement, some type of paper. It's generally about why do you want to be a CRNA or something CRNA related. So definitely speak to your experiences with CRNAs that you've met in your field. Bring up the qualities that make you qualify or why they should choose you as a candidate. Any humanitarian work that you plan on doing outside of CRNA school, definitely speak to that, because those are some questions that will be asked is how do you plan on giving back after you graduate school. Bring out your personality, but also remember that your paper is pretty much 350 words or less or 500 words or less, so definitely try to stay within the guidelines, because you don't want to not be looked at because you decided to write a 2-page paper versus just the 2 or 3 paragraphs that were required. Don't forget the basics of writing a paper. Your margins are 1 inches all around. Making sure that you use either Times New Roman or Arial. 12-point font, double space. You want to remember the basics of writing a paper. And then last but not least, have somebody proofread it. You don't want to have spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes. That doesn't look good for someone that's trying to apply to CRNA school. So send it to multiple people. 2 eyes are better than 1, and it's always beneficial to have someone look over it. You can also send it to an SRNA that you know, and I'm pretty sure they'll be glad to read it for you. The third thing is you're gonna have to send either a resume or a CV. A CV is kind of just a resume with just extra stuff in it. And by extra stuff, I really mean like your skills, your volunteer work, your committees and stuff that you participated in, or the projects that you were in while you've been working as a nurse. Don't forget to add your GPA, any honors that you have, and of course the university that you attended. And as far as just a typical resume, don't forget to add the devices that you've worked with. If you've worked with ECMO, if you work with VAS, if you work with EVDs, definitely mention that those are things that look good on your resume. Remember, when you add those things, that you need to be able to speak to those things. You don't want to add something that you've never done before and they ask you a question in your interview and you can't speak to it. You need to be able to speak to the things that you mentioned in your resume. Also add your certifications. You worked hard for those certifications. You don't want to leave those out. The CCRN, your trauma certification, your stroke certifications, the CSC, the CMC, all the certifications that you have, you definitely want to mention those in your resume. Any skill sets that you've had, like I said, the projects that you worked on, if you were on the skin committee and you had to meet every Wednesday to make sure everyone had a leave-in on their bottom, do that. If you had to participate in getting those waffle cones for your beds, do that. Mention all those things that you did that have helped you, that will help you beef up your resume and make you a better candidate when they take a look at your application. And last but not least, but you definitely want your resume to look good, look professional. You need a professional to kind of look over your resume, or if you need a template that is free, I will go ahead and list my girl's business down here. She's also another nurse. Actually, she's a nurse practitioner that has a resume business, and she does consulting on the side for a lot of nursing students and nurses. So definitely check out her website down below. She has free templates for resumes if you kind of need some help. If you choose a school that you happen to have to send your application through mail, have really nice cardstock. Show the quality of your resume. Make your resume stand out. When you think about it, they don't see your face. They read your paper, they look at your resume, they read your recommendation letters. These are the things that help somewhat paint a picture of you before they actually decide that they're going to interview you. So you want your personality, your skill set to shine, to be the voice of you before you actually get in front of them for your interview. Shadowing. Shadowing is something that you definitely need to have. My school recommends that you do at least 16 hours, a minimum of 8 to at least 16 hours or more. My thing is shoot for 16, but do 8. We all have families, we all have to work, so to get that shadow experience can be a little difficult, but shadow. You definitely have to shadow. How do you know that you want this to be your next career if you've never done it before, if you've never seen any, if you never worked with a CRNA, if you never actually see what a CRNA does? You definitely want to shadow to be able to make sure this is the right journey that you want to take. How do you get a shadow? You really have to put yourself out there. If you have a home base and you have a home hospital, if you interact with CRNAs on a daily, because I know with me as a CVICU nurse, I often got report from my CRNAs. That's how I built a rapport with them. I always spoke to them, talked to them. I actually didn't shadow at my home hospital, but that's another example. If you don't have any interaction with CRNAs, talk to a PACU nurse. Even go to the OR suite if you have to and introduce yourself and just say, hey, is there any way I can shadow with you? And if they're opposed to it, that's fine. Find somebody else. You have to kind of hustle your way to finding someone to allow you to shadow with them. Don't be afraid to use Instagram. If you follow a CRNA that works at a nearby hospital in your hometown, then slide in their DMs and just ask them like, hey, if you can shadow with them. What's the worst they can say is no. So definitely do that. For my travel nurses that travel, that's how I actually got my CRNA shadow experience, is through traveling. I worked at a hospital and I met this coworker whose brother was a CRNA in the local area. I had asked him, I was like, hey, do you think that he would mind if I shadow with him? And he asked him and he said no. and I was able to shadow with him while I was on my assignment there. So that's another good way to kind of build rapport. Just ask around and just see. Like I said, the worst they can say is no. Another good opportunity to find a shadow experience is either join some Facebook groups. They have a bunch of Facebook groups for people that are aspiring to be like SRNAs and CRNAs. You can definitely kind of reach out there and see if they would allow you to help you find a shadow. I know Diversity CRNA is another thing I wanted to mention. They have their own Facebook group, so you can definitely drop a comment in that Facebook group and ask them if they know anybody in your area that is willing to allow you to shadow with them. Going to their diversity events is a very good opportunity as well. It's very encouraging. You meet a ton of SRNAs, a ton of CRNAs, a ton of professors from CRNA schools. They do mock interviews. They have a panel of maybe about 10 nurses that come and they interview them right on the spot, and you can really just see like what kind of questions they'll ask you. Basically have yourself prepared. They do a sim lab, playing with the equipment, intubating, using the gyroscope. I think it's a really great opportunity to be able to kind of dibble dabble and just network and meet different people. I will leave their website and Instagram handle down in the description box below, but definitely check them out. Next point I wanted to bring out is the GRE. A lot of schools do require you to take the GRE, and there are some schools that don't. But a lot of people say that the GRE is kind of like a weed out process for a lot of CRNA schools. Unfortunately, that's probably true, but who knows. However, you have to take it. So the website that I had recommended was mongoose.com. I think it's a really great website to help you study for the GRE. And a great study tip, I had another SRNA that had to take the GRE, and what he did was he took a practice test, and then based on the practice test, he determined where he was lacking, pretty much focus on that area, and then continue to take practice tests up until his test date, which I think is a great idea because Mongoose has a ton of information, and with everything that you have going on in your personal life, it's just a lot to really handle and a lot to really get through. So I definitely recommend that method, hopefully that works out for you. The other thing I wanted to make mention is recommendation letters, where hopefully you've made a great impression on your managers, your coworkers, your doctors, because this is where you need them the most. I'm not 100% sure if you can use coworkers for recommendation letters, but I for sure know you can use managers and doctors. So this is where you definitely want to have them start early. Once you find out what school you want to apply to, definitely get your recommendation letters ready. Some schools do require you to drop their email, and then they'll send them send your manager or doctor a link, and they have to, you know, fill out the recommendation letter on their own, or you can of course have them printed out, and then if you have to mail your application, you can do it that way. Either or, you definitely want to get that early because you definitely don't want to miss a deadline, because unfortunately your manager or whoever you asked to write one for you didn't get it in on time. As far as my travel nurses, again, I know it's tough to find someone to do a recommendation letter, especially considering the fact that we're only at a hospital for 3 months, and that's really not a lot of time for your hospital or your coworkers to really get to know you. And then not to mention, a lot of hospitals don't allow you to take a lot of their sick patients, their critical patients, their patients that have devices, and I know that can be a little bit challenging. However, what I recommend is if you can, possibly try to extend so you're there for at least 5 months, 6 months, so they can really get to know you and feel comfortable, and you can get that recommendation letter out of them. For me personally, I lucked up and was at a hospital for at least 8 months. I was able to take their sick patients. I was able to take their devices, their ECMOs, their fresh hearts, because I got trained since I was there for so long. And I actually had a director of critical care and another intensivist write me a recommendation letter for CRNA school. If you need to extend, use that as an opportunity to be able to shine so that you can get your recommendation. letters from that particular hospital that you're at. Personally, my biggest thing when I was applying was my GPA. I didn't have the highest GPA. I mean, I had a B average, but my GPA wasn't like the greatest, and that worried me in regards to applying, because I know a lot of schools minimum is a 3.5 or higher. So what I did is I took an extra class. There was a school that did require me to take an organic chemistry class. However, this school that I'm at now didn't require any extra classes, but I went ahead and took it anyway because I wanted to make my application a bit stronger. So some classes that I do definitely recommend taking is chemistry. I highly recommend taking physics. I know that's not a requirement on a lot of applications. However, with me being in physics now, I did not realize how much physics really is like the basis of anesthesia. And you really want to have a good understanding of physics in order to understand anesthesia. If you need to brush up on it, great. If you want to take the class, that's even great too, but at least kind of know somewhat about physics, because I feel like it's going to help you in the long run. And then if you want to take a graduate level course, instead of taking those sciences, I would recommend advanced pathophysiology. You're going to have to take advanced patho anyway. With any SRNA school's curriculum, you're going to have to take advanced patho, so it's good to kind of brush up on it now. And then those are some classes that can just really help boost your GPA. CCRN is not always required at all SRNA schools, but I recommend getting that as well. And I did get a lot of questions about, do I need to get my CSC or do I need to get my CMC? Am I going to be disqualified if I get it? No, you won't be. The CSC is a great certification to have, and it shows that you put forth the time, put forth the effort to advance your education even when you didn't have to. Find someone that's been to the school. Find someone that's actually in the program. You want to get some feedback from people that are in the program or have been to the program. How do you know this is going to be a great fit for you? You want someone's honest opinion of the program. And I feel like talking to other students that are currently in there or previously been in there is a great start. You know, for me, I couldn't find anybody that has been to my school. I couldn't find them even on Instagram. I was looking, couldn't find one single person that had been to my school or the school that I was applying to at the time. So I followed this girl that created a hashtag, I think it was like YCRNA or during the CRNA, and there was this guy that had just recently graduated from my school, and I was so excited. I was like, thank God. So I DM'd him and I just asked him some questions, and I wanted his feedback, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about applying, like, can you give me your honest feedback? And he like had raving reviews about it. And surprisingly, lo and behold, I was asked that in my interview if I had spoken to anybody regarding the school, and I was able to speak to that and tell them yes. So definitely try to find someone that has been to your school to be able to get some feedback regarding the program. Interview process is probably what we are dreading. We are excited, but we are also dreading inside. So I mentioned, like I said in my previous video about I Am Nurse Nell, she created a blog post regarding the interview process, the interview questions, how to prepare for your interview, and I will drop the link down below once again, but I highly, highly recommend checking her website out, because I guarantee you your interview questions are on that page. Write your answers to every single one of those questions. Practice your answers in the mirror. I don't care if you have to record them and hear yourself several times, re-record them. You want to ace that interview, and the only way that you're gonna do that is practicing. You're gonna have to look up those meds that are on there and figure out what exactly this is and how it works on this, because you don't want to sound stupid in your interview process. If you don't know the answer to something, don't lie. Just say you don't know, but I'll be willing to look it up. They will know if you're bullshitting or not. Backing on my last point, when you speak to a student that has been the school that you're applying to, you kind of want to ask them how the interview process was, whether or not they had a quiz, whether it's clinical based, was it personal based. Even with that, or knowing that knowledge, also know either or. And what I mean by that is, don't just focus on clinical based questions and then don't have nothing to speak to when it comes to your personal based questions that they'll ask you. Be prepared for either or, because like I said, you just never know what they're going to ask you, and you want to be prepared for anything they come at you with. For me personally, I had maybe 3 or 4 questions. Every single one of them came from her page. So I would recommend using allnurses.com as a really good resource. It is a forum, and it goes back to God, I don't know how long, but it has a ton of nursing related questions, CRNA related questions. You can pretty much find anything on there regarding the interview process. Something has to be on there, even if it's from 10-15 years ago. I guarantee it's something on there. I definitely use that as a resource. Even though it's old and some things may have changed, you just never know if you may stumble across something. One more thing that I wanted to mention is money. Money. A lot of people are afraid to apply to CRNA school because of the money, and trust me, I know. CRNA school is expensive, and the fact that you can't work 3 years as well is a little bit frightening. You are going to be broke in CRNA school, but it's all about preparing prior to. I recommend travel nursing. If you have the ability and you are able, travel. Do travel nursing for a few. Work a couple strikes if you can. Travel nursing is a great way to make a lot of bank in a short amount of time. Use that opportunity to pay off your debts, pay off your car, pay off anything that is going to hinder you in CRNA school. You want the less amount of debt as possible. Also, evaluate what school that you're going to. The tuition that you may be paying may be less than what I'm paying. For me right now, I'm paying out-of-state tuition because I'm not considered a resident until a full year. So that's kind of like, but it is what it is. But as soon as I got here, I went ahead and changed everything over so that this time next year, I can have in-state tuition. Also consider whether or not, if nursing was a second degree or not for you, if you had to take student loans or not, because your federal loans only cap out at a certain amount, and it caps out a certain amount during the year as well. So you want to consider that as well, because you're going to have to take out some type of loans, some type of graduate loan. I do know there are a couple of students, or a lot of students in my school, that actually are able to live off a grad loan. So if you're single, you might have to have a roommate, you might have to split the bills, you might have to live in a dingy ass place, you could live in someone's basement. Plenty of people are doing it. Trust me, you are gonna be broke as fuck in CRNA school. It's already a given. However, use this time that you're not in school to save your money. And when you graduate from CRNA school, you already come out making 6 figures anyway. Depending on what job you get, you can negotiate pretty much anything that you want. I start now looking at CRNA jobs because this is a motivation for me. I use that as a motivation for myself to be able to look into the future and be like, this is gonna be me when I'm done. I'm gonna be making this when I'm done. It's gonna be so worth it. You're gonna make this money back. The money that you're spending, you're gonna make it back. This seems like a simple process. A lot of people just really don't know where to start, and that's where I come in, and I'm here to help you, to guide you. If you have any questions, of course, I'm always willing and able to answer them. I definitely appreciate you watching my video, so please like this video, give it a thumbs up, and also let me know what you want to see next. I think the next video I'm going to film is going to be how I study for CRNA school. I wanted to actually wait until I finish a semester, which will be done in 2 weeks. I wanted to wait until after I finish the semester to be able to give you something thorough as to how I studied for CRNA school, and plus I want to pass my class. So I can't show you how to study if I fail my classes, right? No, but I wanted to kind of give you something solid and be able to just speak to what has helped me study with this first semester and what I plan on taking with me for my following semesters. So that is the next video I plan on filming. So please let me know what you would want to see from me next. Maybe a vlog style video as to my day going to school. I don't know if it's something that you're interested in, but of course, let me know. Nursing students, my new grads, let me know what you're interested in. If it's something more ICU related, more study material. I did travel. I was a travel nurse as well, so I can definitely speak to you about that. Strike nursing is something I did as well, so if you're interested in that, definitely drop those comments down below. I do have moms that are wanting to go to school, so of course, leave me all of your suggestions down below. Like I said, I'm done in 2 weeks. I will have a lot more time on my hands to film and upload more videos. So right now, I think while I'm in school, I'll only film a video once a week. And it'll probably either be Sundays or Fridays, or maybe even Thursdays, because the last 2 videos I posted on Thursdays. So let me know what days work best for you. I know there's like a ton of shit I'm talking about in this video, but I have 2 more weeks till this semester is over, and then I have a total of 4 weeks till my next semester starts. So I definitely want to give you some great content. So just let me know what you're interested in. Again, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely subscribe. And I will talk to you in another video. Bye.